Now that you've finished your petite point, I wanted to show you how to make this into a pillow. Essentially what you're doing is you're going to be creating a fabric frame that this will be sewn into, like a little window. I'm going to be making a pillow that is 18 by 18 inches, but I want to end up with 17 by 17 at the end. So if you are doing a smaller pillow or a bigger pillow, I wanted to show you how you determine the dimensions. So the piece itself is about 9 inches, okay? And if I am making a pillow that is 18 inches, I tend to go to 17 so that the pillow looks fuller. But it's good to kind of have a little bit of dimension around just in case there's any size mistakes, because if it's bigger, you can always cut it down smaller. As you can see here, from the 9 inches to the 18, you have about 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 inches. The size should be about 4.5, so that it's even on the, so you have a panel. That way you have a panel at the bottom and at the top of the piece. And I would add 1 inch for the seam allowance. I'm rounding it off to about 6 inches. I'm going to cut a piece about 6 inches long. And this here is 9 inches wide, but I'm going to add an extra inch so that there is a little bit of an overlap. Here are the cut pieces. I have a piece here that is 6 inches by 10 inches. And what I'm going to do is, the first step is sewing it on the bottom and at the top. Okay, so now you have the 2 pieces here. You need the pieces that are along the side. And the length of the piece along the side here will be the final length of the pillow. So I'm making it 18 inches long. And because the piece is roughly square, I'm making it also 6 inches wide. Here are the pieces. So the pieces here are about 18 inches by 6 inches. And this is essentially the framework for the pillow itself. That is the first step. Next, I'm going to show you how I'm going to sew these pieces on. I went ahead and I serged the edge so the fabric doesn't fray, and I ironed it over about 1/2 inch. Now we're going to sew it onto the piece. I'm going to first sew the linen pieces at the top and bottom of the piece. Now, as you can see that the design, it's sort of, shaped. It doesn't go right to the edge. I'm going to sew it to the edge of the design. And if you want to later, you can fill in those gaps with, a contrasting color, or you could leave it. Make sure that the sides, make sure that there's about 1/2 inch on either side. I'm just doing that by eye. And with the sewing machine, you're going to sew right along the edge of the fold. Okay, there you have the sewn edge. I'm going to do the same on the other side, making sure that it's around the same spot. And I'm leaving a little bit of a space, so you will see a little bit of the back cloth, and I'm okay with that. But like I said, you can go back in and fill those in, or you could just leave them. I now have it sewn at the bottom and the top of the design. The next step is to sew the edging, and I made the length at the bottom here a little bit long. So make sure that when you put this panel that is supposed to be close to the actual size of your pillow, that it is in the center. And then just pin it so that it's in place. Here. If you want to be more accurate, you can measure it. So this is about 2.5 centimeters. And over here is roughly 2.5. So it's pretty close. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to sew it right along the edge. I'm going to sew the other side now. So make sure that it matches up with that distance. Okay, so I'm going to just pin that. Okay, so the next step now, I'm going to trim around the pillow so that it's at the dimension that I need. I trimmed the fabric to size, and I've also cut a piece that is the same size for the back of the pillow. I'm going to show you now how I sew the zipper on. What I did next was I serged the bottom front and the bottom back of the piece, and I stitched the end together about 2.5 inches. So I did it on the right side and on the left side. And I folded the fabric under like this, and I pressed it, and it's just a little bit bigger than 1/2 inch. This is what it looks like on the good side. So you have this little sort of gap opening, and I'm going to put the zipper in there. Now, the zippers can sometimes be really difficult for people to do, So another option is to do an envelope back. So what an envelope back is you're sewing around the whole edge of the pillow, and then you have two pieces of fabric on the back that overlap. So it kind of creates a little bit of a pocket, and then you can slip the pillow in there. The reason why I like doing a zipper is because I feel like the pillow always kind of looks fuller. I find with envelope back, sometimes the back opens up and then the pillow doesn't sit as nice. But you can do some research on different kinds of zippers. This is just one way of doing it. I'm using a plastic zipper, a small one, and it doesn't really matter that this is a little bit longer because I'll just sew it in shorter. You just want to make sure that it's long enough to fit within this opening. And you can also make this part here that I've sewn, you can also make it a little bit smaller. You could do 1 inch as well. I just like doing a little bit wider because with the seam allowance, I just like to have a little bit of distance. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this foot to a zipper foot. I've switched it to a zipper foot, and the hole of the zipper foot is on the right side, not the left side. So keep that in mind for this type of zipper foot. I'm going to open the zipper just a tiny bit, and it's a good idea to kind of give it a little bit of a stitch there so that when you are working with it, it doesn't want to open up. So I've stitched that there. I'm going to put it underneath, and I'm going to be working on the good side. What I like to do is I like to create kind of a flap to cover the zipper. This is how I do it. I start on the left side of the pillow, and I'm going to put the end. You can see I'm putting the end there, but I'm putting it a little bit higher so that it's kind of underneath the top flap, and then the bottom flap is going to be sewn right along the edge of the zipper. I'm going to first start by double tacking this end, and then make sure that my needle starts along the edge of that area of the zipper. And I'm going to put this piece of fabric right along the edge of the zipper here. But you want to leave a tiny bit of a gap, because if you sew too close to the teeth of the zipper, it's going to make it really difficult to open and close the zipper. I'm going to go along, and when you get towards the end, I'll show you what to do. So I'm going to sew along here, and when I get to the end, I'm going to do the same thing as I started. I'm going to rotate this, and I'm going to go back and forth just to give it a little bit of a strong edge, so double tapping it. And then I'm going to start about, I would say, less than half an inch, I guess 1/4 of an inch. As you can see, I'm not sewing it along the edge like I did the bottom part of the zipper. I'm sewing it about, let me just measure just to make sure. I believe it's 1/4 of an inch. I would say a little bit bigger than 1/4 of an inch, but it also determines on what kind of a zipper size you have. So I'm going along, I'm sewing this all along about 1/4 of an inch. And then when I'm getting close to the end, I pull the zipper up here, and that just so that I don't actually sew the head of the zipper. And keep going. And then when you get to the end, okay, I'm going to keep the zipper open a little bit because that's going to help me turn the pillow good sides out. The next step is I'm going to fold it so that the good sides are facing each other. And then I'm going to start on the end, and I'm going to sew around the edge. And after I sew, I'm going to do the serging, so don't worry about that now. I'm going to sew it about 3/8 of an inch. And as you notice, I didn't even bother switching the foot because it's okay, but you're welcome to switch the foot. So now I'm getting to the end. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to serge around, and then we're going to turn it good sides out and insert the pillow. So I've serged all around the edge, as you can see there. I'm going to open up the pillow and turn it good sides out, making sure that the corners are pushed out. And if you want to, you can give it a little bit of a press. You know, it's gotten a little bit of touched and crimped from all the sewing. And now I'm going to put in the pillow insert. Making sure all the corners, the pillow gets in, and zipper up. And there you have it.